if any two guys could get heated and perhaps get into it, it would be Chris Jericho and MVP. Because no, I'm serious. I'm saying this because both of these guys, bona fide men, and they can handle themselves.
If you come at the king, you best not miss.
Acknowledge us.
He went straight to Chris Jericho's locker room. While specifics of their conversation were disclosed, those within AEW said that past issues were resolved and won't be a problem going forward. MVP was praised by numerous backstage for addressing the issue directly. MVP and Jericho have been seen interacting backstage since then, including last week's Dynamite. Now, we know there was some definitely beef between...
Apparently there was some altercation at a hotel here in Houston. I don't know. I don't know if that's true or not, or how true it is, but what do you know about it, Booker?
Well, I'm still trying to find out more about it, but I do know that Chris Jericho had put out a tweet, and MVP responded to the tweet. I think the tweet had something to do with, politics. And politics is a heated conversation. Let's just say the heated conversation these days. And both of these guys are my friend, but both of these guys have very, very opinionated perspectives on stuff like that. And I can see it becoming heated a little bit. But as far as the situation goes, I really can't speak as far as what I've been reading, as far as them meeting each other in a hotel and argument ensued and whatnot. I can't, I don't have any firsthand knowledge on that or anything like that. But if any two guys could get heated and, perhaps get into it, it would be Chris Jericho and MVP. Because no, I'm serious. I'm saying this because both of these guys, bona fide men, and they can handle themselves.
And MVP, they have had some history, guys. If you guys ain't noticed, there's some history between these two. Reportedly back in 2020, it was said that MVP and Jericho had a little altercation. And it said it did not end too well for Jericho. Not so much MVP, but Jericho. And I looked, Jericho really, I know, Jericho, he talks about when he fights someone and he gets the upper hand. However, he does not mention this story on his podcast. He doesn't mention this story that much. And I found that very interesting, to say the least. And Jericho runs his mouth about everything else, but he did not want to go into that when it came to between himself and MVP, because he did not get the upper hand when it came to that situation. But I heard that they have mended fences now. They're not beefing so much. They're not beefing anymore at all, and they're cool backstage. But this is weird though. But yeah, I know MVP has talked about this. He has talked about this as well. He said, I think he said on an interview with Chris Van Fleet, he discussed this as well. So he actually confirmed the rumors, because it was floating around. Like I said, it was about a cruise Jericho had. It was 2020 during COVID, but he pretty much confirmed it he said it without even saying it, if you know what I mean. If you guys remember.
Microphones here.
And it's true. It's true.
So that's MVP confirming that the rumors between himself and Jericho are true. They really did have beef, and he put his fist up stating that he got the upper hand on Chris Jericho. So that's the funny part about that. He definitely got over on him. You have to give him that work. He gave him that work for real. He was not playing around. He gave him some work.
You about to get that work, son.
But now I'm glad that they're able to mend fences. I'm glad Chris Jericho and MVP are on the same page. They're on good terms. And I think we were talking backstage. So that's a good thing between these two men, because let's be honest, MVP is what, 50, 51. Jericho's 53, going on 54, something like that. You gonna have two 50-plus-year-old men fighting backstage. Come on, man. That's not good at all. That's way too immature. That's the point you need to grow up. So I don't think that it needs to come to the blows between those two men. Both of these men have done great work in their careers. Both of these men have been in wrestling business for a long time. That's the last thing they have time for is silly nonsense. That's the last thing they have time for. So I don't expect anything else to happen. But I think they'll be fine. And Jericho, remember MVP is like I think he's like he's jiu-jitsu. I think he's like a black belt or something. He knows this ain't regular MVP fighting, so Jericho knows what time it is when it comes to MVP. I just want to say that. So don't sleep on MVP. I read that about him. While he wasn't wrestling, he was practicing. What do they call it? Jiu-jitsu. He knows that stuff, and I think he knows martial arts. He knows MMA, all that stuff. Do not sleep on MVP. This ain't no regular guy you going up against. He'll give you that work for real. And I think Jericho knew that firsthand 4 years ago, which is why I'm pretty sure he's glad that the beef is squashed between himself and MVP at this point. Now that they're in the same company again, this time AEW, not WWE. So that's what we do not want between these two gentlemen. Is another fist fight over nothing. That's what we don't want. So I'm glad the MVP, took it upon himself to step to Jericho. Told him what's good. Let's squash this nonsense. We don't need to act like little children back here, because we definitely don't want to see another media scrum, all out 2022. The CM Punk, the elite. We don't want to see that. So I'm glad these men have. I'm glad they've grown up and they're not saying we're not doing that. So that shows maturity and mad respect. I will say that to say the least. So I'm glad we're not going to have any of that nonsense between MVP and Jericho, because we don't need it. We just don't need that kind of crap in the locker room. So exactly, figure 4. No more AEW backstage crap. No more of that. No more nonsense. No more drama. None of that. Too old. You got to grow up sometime. Sometime you got to grow up between, if you're going to be jumping about it, be gentlemen about it. Don't be whiners. Don't be crybabies. Because we IWC, they see the wrestlers whining. They ain't going to never let that go. Let's be honest. They'll never let that go. For life, and they're never going to let that go. So, good, Chris Jericho. You don't go on the list. That's one thing I will say. You don't have to go on your own list. You're good. You're solid. There's nothing else needs to be done. Because, MVP probably be there for a few years. Chris Jericho, he says he's never going to retire. But we know Chris Jericho slowing down at this point in his career. So that's the last thing either of these men should be thinking about. You don't want 2024 and beyond to be like 2020 all over again. That's what we don't want as a whole. So I'm glad these men squashed it. But that's all I have with the whole backstage report relation between AEW, MVP, and Jericho. And that's all I had regarding MVP. Has hashed out his beef with Chris Jericho with his past issues since his AEW debut. You guys let me know what you think in the comment section below. Soon to videos will pop up. You guys check out those videos. You guys already know what it is at this point. It's OUT.